was like, okay, let's do it. So what we're saying, welcome.
Cool, man.
Welcome.
Remi.
Tell us about who you are. Everything.
So
all the juice. How did we meet?
So how we met originally was this is how I remember anyway. I was in a season where I wanted to find a more scalable way to help founders and be accessible and available, because people would reach out for me for coffee, but I just wasn't available to meet every single person for coffee, because sometimes in a week, on a bad week, I'll get 25 people. Do you know what I mean?
This man is busy.
So, busy.
He sits here all calm and decent, but he's busy.
So what I did was, in my newsletter, I said I was doing an event called Ends of Andy. And I sent it out, an Eventbrite private link. Only if you're in my newsletter can you get the link. Yeah. And then I want to sign up 6 to 8 people, so we can have an intimate conversation in a room. Yeah. We can each help each other out, and we can share one challenge each. Do you remember the format?
I don't even know how you came on my radar. I just know I do.
On my newsletter.
I wasn't on your newsletter, but I was obsessed with Ireland.
Yeah.
Then I clicked that Ireland was opening up a branch in the UK.
I worked
and then you worked with Backstage Capital.
Yeah.
So then I started following you.
Yeah.
Then I saw that you were in the area, and I just said, you know what, let me just quickly go and see what's going on here, to be around and just see what's moving, what's shaking, and then you ended up being a plug.
How did you find that room? How did you find that room that day? Because there's only 6 of us, was intimate.
Listen, that wasn't just a room of Andy's ends. That was strategy and game on game on game. I don't think you realize the value that you offer to people like us. The information and just the scale of what people were doing in that room. Right. There was about 7 of us in that room. Yeah. But the advancedness.
You saw the email thread, right? So we sent an email 6 months later. And we said, how's everyone doing? And it was just wins. I closed this round of funding. I'm part of this accelerator program.
Listen,
I just made more customers.
Not only that, but I just don't even think you know what you're creating. Like, when people are able to sit, like even sitting next to you now, I feel blessed, because I know that we're 2 people that respect what we're trying to do, but community is very important to us. And that's what I see when I look at you. I see community. I see somebody who wants to make changes within the community. And
I think if we go back to that mutual respect that we have for each other, I think the part of the respect is the fact that we respect each other's work ethic. Yes. Our values are very aligned. And as creators, we admire each other's creation. Yeah. Like, you'll put something on Insta and I'll DM you like Remi, that was cold. Like, Remi, you hit them with that. Like, and you do the same with me. Yeah, but I imagine and you'll check me. like when I'm wearing that T-shirt in front of 2,000 people, and I should be wearing my own brand. You should be wearing your own brand. Yeah. We can do that. We can show love and hate on each other, and it's always love. It's all about growth. It's always about growth. Always about growth. Always about growth. I like that. But like, even you bringing people together is unusual within our spaces, because most of the time people are like this, but you're like, come. Yeah. Just come. And you know what I like about Ends of Andy? I need to probably do it again. You 100% should do it again. Maybe 4 times a year. Yeah. And then just filter the people into those smaller spaces. Yeah, and what I liked about it is that I feel like a lot of the benefit was people helping each other and not me. I wasn't doing the helping. Yeah, it was like peer-to-peer learning. Yeah, it was peer-to-peer growth. Yeah. Like, this person will pitch and I'll make an introduction to this person. And I feel like that's the magic that we need to bring back into this village mentality that we used to have. 100% all of us are here to help each other grow. And it's one of the gripes that I have with the fact that we don't move into the same areas. Yeah. Like, once we grow up in these areas like Brixton and Lewisham, we move out. Yeah. And it's like divide and conquer strategy is still impacting us, rather than moving into the same areas together. Collectively, it's like Remi's an auntie to my little one. Yeah. She can look after her. Yeah. And we need to bring that kind of mentality back to how we live. No, I absolutely agree. And it's so funny that we move out when everyone's moving in. But not only that, I feel like you said, that divide and conquer thread is what really is half of the problem, right? But the internet for me is the savior within that space. Savior and curse, you know. You gift and the curse immensely. But for Black people, the best thing that could have happened to us, because it gives us access if we want it. Information access if we want it. It's not absolutely. There's no longer an excuse where you can say I didn't know, because you can Google
anything now. Do you see what I mean?
See the challenge we were talking about at the beginning, before we even start recording, about groupthink.
Yeah.
Like everyone, like, oh, I'm following who I want to on Twitter, and I'm reinforcing the beliefs I have because of this circle, and therefore I'm thinking like the circle, and I'm struggling to think original. I'm struggling to think independently because I want to think in the way that I think they want me to think.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I want to get investment, so I want to talk like an investor and shape and position this business so that it's attractive to investor, rather than focus on delivering value to customers. And we like this subject, like just delivering consistent value to customers, and that leads into my revenue, and that leads into how I'm going to build, because they are the ones that should be my focus, not my investor.
Why do you think that's changed? Why do you think we're so focused on what the investor? Because half of the investors, a lot of them are squares. What do they even know about shifting culture? They were sitting at the top of the hierarchy. I know you can't go, but I can go. Do you know what I mean? Like, why? I know it's money as well. I understand, like, you need the money in order to grow, but the reality is if your business doesn't impact even one from grassroots, the likeliness of it impacting 100 is even more slim. Yeah. So start with that one person.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think the downside of that, the internet age, is that a lot of us look for instant gratification, and we're trying to move too fast.
That's the curse, right, of the internet.
The curse. Yeah. And one of my guiding principles, I've got a number of principles I live by, but one of my guiding principles is direction over speed.
Yes.
Like, I'd rather go patiently in the same direction and gather momentum, even if it's 15, 20 years, I don't care.
Yeah.
Rather than active speed and going bare different directions. But I feel like our generation, we're just moving in haste instead of being patient.
I feel like we're being influenced by people who aren't essentially influencers. And so... and from these stories that are actually the 0.1%, like the Mark Zuckerbergs, the Jeff Bezos, the people that we read about in the media who are raising rounds or exiting their startups, who represent 1.1% of businesses. They actually represent statistically 1% of businesses or less. But also they have a network.
And
strangely, Black people, we don't have a wide enough network that can allow us to pivot in such a capacity. And I think that's the source that we're consistently missing. Because all the people that I see that do have major investment funds, like rounds and stuff like that, have been able to exit, they usually come from like banking backgrounds, or their network is so strong that they're able to pivot immensely against somebody else who doesn't have a network. These people are probably starting with 50 to 100,000, maybe even more, just from their personal network. We're starting from nothing. Part-time job, side hustling here. It's a whole different
I think there's three things that help you move from like working in evenings and weekends to working full-time what you love in terms of like a new business. I think one is access to the network. It's very important.
I can't even stress, like, we're recording this from a business school, and let me tell you that I know networking. So post-grad education is about network in every capacity. That's what you pay for. It's an expensive access to a premium network. And that's why people care about the schools they go to. That's why people care about the places they're seeing or the seminars they're at.
Even companies they work at, like McKinsey alumni, Harvard alumni, both of them have the same impact.
It's the same thing.
So one is network.
One is network. I absolutely agree with that.
The second one is access to capital. And people default to think investment. It can come from customers.
Yeah.
It can come from a range of sources, right?
Yeah.
And then the third one is access to knowledge. And like you said, is that I click with your finger, but it's can you decipher and do the research to figure out what's good versus bad?
Yeah.
And I think you need those three to be able to really leverage and think, all right, this is how I now go into working full-time on my venture or my business.
How has your network helped you?
Immensely.
Because you're the network king. I know someone here. Let me give you an intro. You know everyone.
I learned from a young age from my dad. My dad was a minicab driver.
Okay.
And as a minicab driver back in the day before Uber, you had to have personal relationships.
It's like a barber, like your barber.
Yeah. So you learn a lot about them. They want to use you again because they enjoyed that experience. So my dad used to tell me stories about people in his cab. Yeah. And he used to leverage his relationships to get us work experience. So I got work experience at an architect firm.
Wicked.
My brother got work experience at a Nigerian female lawyer's firm.
Wow.
He was a millionaire. Her brother was like an oil millionaire. Yeah. So that exposed me to a different life, but it taught me the currency of networking and relationships. And it taught me that, like, similar to how money compounds in interest over time, like knowledge compounds and relationships compound. So I always knew that like if I value the relationship, even from a young age, I'll be good. I'll send a Christmas card.
Yeah.
I'll send a note. I'll have that coffee.
Yeah.
I'll go to that dinner. I'll have that lunch.
Yeah.
Because I understand the compound value of that relationship. And I don't care if that person's a student, or that person's your younger cousin.
It doesn't matter.
It's the same respect I'll show the 5-year-old and the 10-year-old is what I'll show the person that's experienced and the CEO. Because relationships go both ways. And each one teach one. like if we're coming from ends, we need to have that mentality that we're not only looking up, but we're also looking down as well. And
to the sides as well.
And to the sides.
A lot of I hang out with a lot of older people. Generally, that's my I don't know. Since I was young, I've just always been very well. It's an easy thing for me to navigate into older spaces because they see my passion, they see my hunger, but also they see where I could go wrong and they steer me and they drop gems on me and stuff like that. Like, I'm a student of life. That's one of my things that I live by. I'm willing to learn in any capacity, no matter who's the teacher. And I feel like so many people only want to be attached to something that's winning. It's like goal hanging, right? From football. They're just waiting for the glory, hoping that your success would rub off on me. But within building those networks, because it ain't easy, coffees, dinners, phone calls at night, staying, you know what I mean? There's a grit that happens there that a lot of people aren't willing to endure to get to the fruits of the labor. So what advice could you give to younger people trying to build network? Because you get the DMs all the time. Oh, do you know about it?
I think there's two things that are big, right? One of the things is that we need to be more patient creatives. Like creativity shouldn't be rushed. We need to be patient with it. So sometimes when we think about problem solving, we're thinking about startups. Yeah. Like I'll give a personal story. Like I joined an accelerator about 2 years ago called EF. It's one of Europe's leading accelerators.
I know it. Europe, economical fund.
No. EF stands for Entrepreneur First.
Okay.
First. And during this accelerator program, one of the problems that I wanted to solve, there's a number of problems, but one of the problems that I wanted to solve was around this prospect of portfolio careers and the fact that people of our generation are going to move jobs every 2 to 5 years, even 2 to 3 years, right? It's not even just gig, it's just freelancing, just I'm tired of this job, I want to move. Yeah. Whereas our parents stayed, my dad, I said, was a cab driver for 20 years, my mum, a nursery nurse for 15 years. And we're not like that generation.
No, it's changed.
Yeah, and what's happening now is that the first page of Google is our CV. Yeah. Because people Google you automatically if it's for a meeting or for an interview or even just a friend or someone new that you've been introduced to. Yeah. So you need to own the narrative on that first page. So at first I was thinking, I'm at this accelerator, I need to build some software to solve this problem. Yeah. But a year later, I realized that I've solved it in writing an ebook. And there's so many different ways to solve a problem. But when you're patient creative, you figure out a way to solve it eventually.
What's the ebook?
Pressure. An ebook is just a book that's online. Yeah. And it's a handbook, so you can write. In my one, you can literally read it and write in it, so you can keep a catalog of what you're learning, actually what's applicable to you, so that it tailors the book reading experience to your own personal circumstance. And hopefully, there's activities in there that help you move the needle in terms of actually I see this through a different light now, and I can position myself in a different way, given that new knowledge that I've acquired.
And I can testify that the ebook actually helped me secure a new role. So I know that the ebook is effective. Not only that, it's digestible information. It isn't anything long-winded. It's very simple. It's concise. It's to the point. It has a lot of clarity around areas that I feel a lot of us are sitting on the outside of. Yeah. And these are the things that are happening in these spaces, and we're just showing up short every time because nobody's sat down
to share this
share the information, right? And like I said, I was able to secure a role because of a tip that is provided within.
I love
it breaking into new careers, right?
Breaking into new careers. Yeah. We'll share a link after.
Yeah, we will definitely.
And
it's a must-buy. It is a must-buy.
What I loved is that you directly said to me I knew a lot of your book already, but there was this one thing. Around side projects that I did in an interview, and it helped me land the role.
It helped me land the role.
You didn't gas it and say oh my gosh, the whole book was amazing. I learned all these new things. You're I knew a lot of it, but that one thing helped me. And for that one thing to help me, it was worth it for you.
But I think we equally are naturally curious people.
Yeah.
And that's why
some
of those things were already fulfilled, because of curiosity. I kept going onto LinkedIn and seeing pages and thinking, why have they got that then? And how come they've got that then? And then slowly thinking, should have that. Yeah, I'm 100% a student of life, but I can testify that anybody, whether you're pivoting, whether you're just trying to figure out what your, I guess, the new space looks like and how you should be showing up in terms of like social tech and stuff like that. This is it. This is the blueprint of it. Whether people go further beyond it, I think this is an amazing starting point.
I appreciate it. So I'm going to try and push it out there a lot more over the next 12 months even. And the great thing about...
I feel like you're bugging. You need to be, contacting all the ACS societies and graduates and whatnot. We'll talk. We'll figure it out.
Remi Consultancy is going to sort me out. And I'm going to kick her back her feet too. And when she converts that, but I do need to do all of that because it needs to get out there more, and I want more people to benefit.
And people like yourself need to be leaving these blueprints of information for your kids, for the younger generations. We must, because we've been through so many hurdles, hoops, experiences that we must leave a guide, breadcrumbs, if you want,
so
for other people.
Can navigate in
spaces. So while we're on the topic of money, let's talk money.
Let's talk money.
You spoke about, was it 11 streams of income or 7?
Yeah, so I did a 5-day IGTV series on wealth creation. Partly sparked from our conversation, to be honest, because before that, I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, we spoke about
wealth creation and money. Yeah. You spoke a lot about money on your.
It's a big thing for me.
And I was really inspired by the club that you've got, the savings club. Shit happens fun, and you sharing updates. That this person's actually saving enough. This person's getting there.
If no receipts, it ain't real.
Very transparent.
It ain't real if there's no receipts.
And I loved that. And I think that is probably part of the seed that sparked me to do the series.
I'm glad you did.
And another part of the seed was me just being frustrated that everyone, or a lot of black commentators in the US, talking about wealth creation but not sharing actionable steps.
Yes.
So I thought, like, let me democratize information again and share what I've been through on my journey. I'm not perfect. I'm not at the pinnacle. I'm not a millionaire. But I'm doing all right, and I can share at least what I've done so far. And at least if it helps 10 people, it's done justice.
More than 10.
And now people are telling me, like, do more, do an event, do a one-day retreat, do a hot. I'm just like, love. But yeah, part of that I spoke about 11 streams of income that I've had in recent years that has helped me in building wealth.
Do you know what that means? Like, you've hacked the matrix of income.
He's still hacking.
Still hacking. What's the top? Listen, that's a whole nother stream. Listen, but you've hacked it. Like, so many of us are living hand to mouth, and that's why talking about money is so important. I come from a family of a single mum with 4 children. The struggle was real. I've always felt an immense worry about money growing up, like there not being enough, it being in scarcity, and then when it comes, it disappeared so quickly. I didn't really understand what that meant. So when I got older,
a lot of deep things here.
When I got older, money burnt a hole in my pocket. So my wages, I would finish it to the pence. Even if there was money left, can you imagine? Even if there was money left over in my account towards the end of the month, I would finish it because I wasn't supposed to have more money at the end of the month. Can you imagine?
That mentality.
Do you know how stupid that sounds now? But that was my truth.
It's mindset, isn't it?
And so,
what was pivotal in changing that?
$8,500 worth of debt on my credit cards, trying to escape my reality. So I would book spaces where I wanted to be because I wanted to escape my current circumstances or situations. So bad relationships, or just hoping that my space felt like that hug or that warmth when you enter, or you go on holiday, or that fun, you know what I mean? Like trying escapism. Yeah. So then I turned around. Temporary. Yeah, exactly. So I turned around, I had $8,500 of debt on my credit card. And I showed it on Instagram. And I went ham.
At the time you showed it.
Yeah. And I went ham.
This is incredible.
And we wasn't following each other then. Yeah. But that's how come I have money followers now.
And as you were literally paying that off, people are instantly seeing that.
Yeah, I was showing 5 bills here, 4 bills here, 3 bills here. Listen, I was crying.
Accountability.
Once I finished it, the messages that I got.
No.
But I needed that.
But I love, it's a genuine love that DM'd you, right?
Yeah.
Genuine love.
Yeah. $8,500. That was nearly my freaking wages, if you want. Do you know what I mean? Like, having that much debt and having that much access to money that wasn't mine is one of the biggest cripples within our community, I would say. Like, I could probably access 50,000 plus worth of credit card debt if I wanted to at this precise moment. I don't even earn 50K. Like, problems. So that's why the shit happens fun's real, because shit really does happen.
I love it.
Yeah.
You hear that? It's direct from the source.
So 11 streams of income, what does that look like?
All right, so
you need a pen. I feel like you need a pen.
I'm going to use my hands.
I'll use my pinky.
All right, so the thing about me, I think that differentiates me from a lot of people, it's probably a few things, but one of the things is that, like, I'm never really wedded to this aspect of having a career or being an entrepreneur or being a founder. I just always see myself as a constant gardener. And
you're like a glue.
I'm like a scientific researcher. Yeah. So everything for me is a hypothesis to prove or disprove. Yeah. And I'm willing to try things and experiment constantly. Just to learn, like, am I taking a step in the right direction or not? Okay, so the ebook we've mentioned as well. Yes. Right, so the ebook, I've created it now in the world, it's out there, and forever now, for the next 20, 50, 30 years, people can continue to pay $11.99 for the ebook. Yeah. That doesn't have to stop. And there's a long tail of people, the people that are not born yet that might buy the ebook in the future. So I love that. The second one is I do speaking engagements. So we spoke about speaking in Croatia, spoke at Mind Product as well. I've got a speaking gig hopefully next year in February as well. So those are paid speaking engagements, right? So that's paying me a 4-figure sum to come and speak for 25 minutes on stage. And obviously I prepare for a few months before that. We can go into that after. The other thing is I hold workshops. So sometimes I do like a half-day workshop or a couple of hours workshop on a specific topic. Like creating products that customers love. How to build hypothesis and test like a scientist, but still have the art of a patient creative. Like all these kind of topics. Like then I also freelance. So I do 2 days a week, for example, as an entrepreneur in residence at the moment at an organization that works with investing in diverse founders. Wicked. I've also got property. Yes. So I can talk about this another time, but there's one of the properties that I have, I've got free now. One of the properties that I have are up north in Manchester. Yes. And I haven't seen it till today, and I've had it for 5 years. Sheesh. And there hasn't been one void month. So that's just rental income. That's good. And the rent keeps on going up, and the mortgage keeps on going down. So the margin just keeps on improving. We can touch on that. Okay. Another one is index funds. Yeah. So I invest in index funds, which are basically funds that track like indices, so like the FTSE 100, and it'll give you the average return of all of the 100 companies on FTSE, or there's an S&P 500 one that'll give you the average return of all 500. I also invest directly into stocks and shares, so I own a stock, for example, called Zoo Digital at the moment that does dubbing services for subscription video on demand platforms like Netflix and Disney, as well as video on demand platforms like BBC iPlayer. And I think in the future we're going to watch more content on those platforms. So you're going to lead into Mixtape Madness now? Mixtape Madness. So that's a company I co-founded with my brother and a few friends. You get equity as a founder of a company. I've also earned equity through working. So I worked at a company called WorldFirst. I didn't get equity. They got acquired by Ant Financial for 700 million. Lesson learned. I worked in Backstage Capital. We invested into 25 diverse founders. I got equity through that. Then actually investing in startups. So this is 10 now. Get equity through investing into startups. So I'm invested in a few. I'm hopefully going to invest into 2 or 3 more next year. Good. My own capital might be able to leverage some other people's capital. Yeah, angel investor-ish. But I'm on an embargo at the moment because I'm saving for a wedding, so I have to finish saving for the wedding before I can invest, which is the right thing to do. And then the 11th one is, can I remember this? Speaking, property, business, equity. Online course. Got an online course coming out Q1 next year, and it's going to be very modular. And it's going to be about like strategy and execution, how to move from evenings and weekends to working full time on your startup. So I'm gonna have to book. Everything from strategy down to actually like how do I dictate my work week now that I'm not an employer dictating it to me. You know, how do I work to a roadmap and stick to it? How do I work with software developers? How do I work in agile? What does that mean for me? You know, how do I hire and keep great talent? How do I set off culture from day one? So it's going to be modules like £35 to £50 for each module, and I'm going to have like a number of modules. I'll start with like 3 or 4, and then I'll release. Oh no, but it's going to be each module. So you pay 35 to 50 for a module, but it's going to be a number of different modules that you can pay for, and it's going to be a video course, all online. And then the last thing actually that I'm working on is like I believe in patient capital, so investing into startups like I do in property or like I do in index funds for like 25 years on the relationship. And there's a lot of startups that I've met over the last 15 months who are too small for VC, so they're growing to 5 million in revenue, 10 million in revenue, and VCs are like, that's too small, that's not the exit that I want. But actually, as an angel investor and as a founder, it could be life-changing. Right? So these kind of companies that are profitable and sustainable and providing great services and products, I'm invested in, but investing in over a long period of time, like 15, 20 years, and collecting dividend through revenue share. And I'm going to test out that thesis with these type of founders. And it preserves optionality for them, so they still have their equity. And they still can raise in the future if they want to. But if not, they've got working capital through this.
So it doesn't take too much off the table too early, basically.
It doesn't take too much off the table.
I like that because I feel like that's part of the cripple of the culture, right? Where people are giving away too much too soon, and then they find themselves in positions that they can't get out of.
And the good thing is it aligns the incentives for long-term value creation, because it means that I need to continue to add value to that person over the long term of our relationship, either through the expertise I have or through the network that I form. So if I do have a good network, then I need to leverage that to help these founders win and scale their businesses and grow their businesses.
You didn't speak anything about CBD. Is that on purpose, or are you not interested in investing in that industry?
So you're interested in CBD.
I just like it. From two aspects, I like it. Well, I'm Jamaican. So weed is the thing.
And you feel like we should be monetizing on our own culture.
I think we've definitely missed it in terms of the really grassroots level of what the industry was about to do. Fair enough, we may not have even known, but I do feel like it's going to happen again. Another major shift within our culture that we miss out on again. And it isn't essentially that I'm massively interested in it, but I want to see. I just don't want to see us miss.
So I think for me, I'm forming an opinion on CBD, but I definitely agree with the likes of like Idris Sandu and those in America that say that we need to own our own operating systems. So it's great that the Shade Room has built a digital business on Instagram. It's actually incredible, and she's one of my digital role models. Like what she's doing is amazing.
I just wonder though, is her email list.
We need to own the operating system. We need to build the Instagrams and Twitters, because we're such heavy consumers that it's time for us to start being the creators. And it's a narrative that everyone knows, but now it's time to be patient creators and start creating these platforms and operating systems so others can build on top of our systems.
Because with them removing the likes, so that's why I mentioned, because at the bare minimum, many of us should be having better, stronger email lists, text
numbers or
direct relationships with the customers. Absolutely. And while she has, which I think her name's Angel, right? She done amazing building out the shade rooms. 14 million without access to 14 million if Instagram goes down, or like they're about to do, potentially removing the likes.
Impacts your whole business model
in every capacity. What would happen next?
That's the downside of building on other platforms. You're at the mercy of whatever they choose to do or choose to change. Whereas if you own your own operating systems, you build your own platforms, then you control the keys, and others are monetizing on your platform, which means you ultimately eat more. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp.
Do you think there's room for us to essentially build out our own network, like social media network? If we're really struggling to get funding in most capacities, could we really get that type of money behind us to build our own network that could be really sustainable?
It's a great question, but we have to remember, like there's companies like WhatsApp that had like 54 engineers.
I love that.
Didn't take on too much capital, and they grew an amazing network because great products spread themselves. And people through word of mouth will share great products always. And there are communities now like Valance that recently launched, which is a Black social network or community that has launched online. And others in the past have tried to launch social networks for Black people specifically.
Why do you think it hasn't caught?
Even BYP, Black Young Professional Network here in the UK. I'm not sure fully why it hasn't caught, but you have to remember,
because we're followers, we love to follow.
but the truth is, on these other platforms, we're heavy consumers, and they're not Black only platforms. So even in creating a platform, you don't have to make it Black.
It doesn't
only.
have to be exclusive. We don't have to do what's been done to us.
Yeah, it could be inclusive rather than exclusive.
Exclusive, exactly.
Basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, I think there is always a path, and no one wants to miss out on a big deal. So if you have traction and the numbers are showing that people are flocking to this and there's more demand than supply, there will always be people more willing to back. And there's many more people now. Well, not many, but there's a growing number of people investing in businesses run by people of color, and even like black investors. A lot more in the US and UK, admittedly, but
I think the UK market is changing because of people like you, though. Like, I'm steady watching the growth of all these little pop-ups springing to help black entrepreneurs, like Cornerstone. I think that's one that's running a program at the moment. Obviously, Backstage Capital was a major, probably one of the first, right, in the UK that kind of took that leap of faith to just say, let me figure out how I can help create a more inclusive environment for entrepreneurs.
We need 10 more. There's Impact X. There's
we need way more. We need way more. But somebody has to begin, right? Somebody has to take the leap of faith. I just want to ask quickly about what was your decision on CBD before we pivot?
I haven't fully formed an opinion.
Not sure yet.
Yeah.
Do you think the market within the UK, as in terms of like law and stuff, is going to make it very, very hard for it to be a growing space?
At the moment, yeah. At the moment, and I think because of Brexit and us going for election, it's not going to be prioritized in terms of any changes anytime soon.
Yeah, because I envision, minus the UK, Europe, Amsterdam, this is going to be an easy win for them in most capacities, because they care about stuff like this already. Do you know what I mean? So it'll be interesting to watch how it unfolds. And just again, on my background, it's just that the local weed man that's been serving everyone for years and years and years, no matter what color you are, if he doesn't think about the future of his business, he is going to be X'd out, or she is going to be X'd out of the conversation, and that makes me sad.
I understand that.
Yeah. I know a lot of weed men. I don't even smoke. So, disruption. What industries are missing major disruption? Because I feel like a lot of people from our culture, even though this isn't exclusive, I guess we speak a lot about stuff like this because it affects us, right? It's something that is directly rooted to the people that we are, right? But
there's a lot of marginalized areas,
So many. Why do we keep creating the same businesses?
I think
leave hair alone.
We're paying attention to things that seem easy to us and seem to our natural experience.
Quick wins.
Yeah, sometimes which is good. Like I co-founded Mixtape Madness because I was scratching my own itch.
Yeah.
And I learned through that process now. And there's nothing wrong with scratching your own itch. But for example, in hair business, for example, a lot more people should be working together.
Massive. Please say that again. There's so many people doing the same thing.
There's cost efficiencies that are obtained through working together.
Yeah, cooperative.
Because we can drive the cost down and rationalize our supplier base to just a few people and drive down the cost because of that. And the truth is, we need to look at it, owning supply chains. Well, where's the hair coming from? Are we owning that part of the cycle? Do we have the retail outlets? All of that, why is there not a franchise apart from Slider Cuts and a few others of barbers that run all the barbers in London or run all the barbers in Birmingham or run all the, we've got Trim It vans that we invested in.
That's so dope.
Dope idea. But I think we need more networked ideas and joined up ideas on that front. Then elderly care is another one that I think is a massive opportunity.
Oh my God.
And actually there's so many baby boomers that grew up on Beatles and flooded the music market and are now going into elderly care. And there's a deficit of homes and a deficit of care homes and providers. And there's so much opportunity. Even as a real estate investor, there's so much opportunity there. And let alone to start a care home yourself.
And it could be the whole McDonald's model, right? You just provide the spaces as opposed to providing the care, or you could provide the care for this. It could work either or way. Like this, for me, that's like my next 3 to 5 years. That's the area that I want to be solely focused in on. Morbid maybe for some, but the reality is we're all getting old, right?
I think another area that I'm really excited about is banks, actually, and bank branches. And follow me on this. Over the last 5 years, I've read in the paper numerous times all these big high street banks, HSBC, NatWest, RBS, closing down branches.
They are literally
closing down branches on the high street. But then on those same high streets, there's usually 2 or 3 banks. And I believe there should be some sort of shared consortium concept called branchless or something where
you have all the banks in one space.
There's no value in the real estate. Let's just have the one space, and it almost operates like a co-working space where, as a mortgage advisor from Halifax, I can book a room and meet with you, and we can do our business. Or if you need customer service and support, there's someone that's trained up in 5 banks operations and can provide it and give you that level of quality and care. Because there's no value or differentiation between walking in a branch right now. I can print off a statement, I can use the ATM, I can speak to a mortgage advisor. So why not have just a shared service rather than cutting costs by closing them all down? Let's share the cost of just operating one on this high street and that's it. I think that needs to happen. But It's a very hard thing to get the banks to work together in that way.
I think it wasn't what I was thinking about, but ultimately sharing spaces that's it. That's the future. If you're consistently thinking about working alone, like we said prior to recording, it takes a village. There's no one ship that can grow by itself. Like, everybody has to help. And the longer you stay working solely by yourself or doing things in like an insular way, growth is limited.
The other thing is, like, we've seen co-working spaces. I've talked about branchless. We've seen the likes of Trimit in how they're reusing a van. With driverless cars will change.
You spoke about that the first time.
Space is going to change.
Meetings, you said.
Meetings could the car. It could take place in the car. You might meditate and switch off in the car. Now you're not driving. There's so much more you could do in terms of productivity. But another space I'm excited about in terms of like how we can rethink space is libraries. Libraries have such good real estate and are so underused and they're so old school and shit still. Like, why isn't more of a co-working space with fast internet where we can work on ideas and learn things? And why can't we just order books in when we need them, because we can actually use the high-speed internet to do a lot of the research that we need? And books should be stored in one location, similar to what the British Library does, where in Essex, for example, there's one location for books, and it is a shared service that gets delivered to any of the libraries as collection points.
But why aren't they more online anyway? I mean,
so this frustrates me. And the last place that frustrates me is job centres. Job centres, they've got such good real estate across the UK. They should be great places for retraining and reskilling up.
I feel like this is on purpose.
I want to go into
this is on purpose.
I'll go there, do a boot camp in my ends, not travel to Zone 1 or to Silicon Roundabout or to Old Street. I come to Lewisham and I'm retraining and I'm going into workforce now, into tech, because I learned that at the job centre. That's what I want to see.
So this is the reason.
This is like rethinking space
massively.
I'm bullish on.
And I totally agree, because I come from, like, I'm dyslexic and I'm an anomaly. From my community, I grew up in Peckham. A lot of people didn't make it out. A lot of people gone down different routes. Baby mom, X, Y, and Z. You know, the usual schmoozle that comes with coming from places like this, right? But why aren't we giving the people from these spaces the tools? Like, why aren't they giving these tools to people so that they can help leverage themselves? Like, why isn't this already happening? They're gentrifying the areas so much that all that's going to be left is loads of residue, and people are going to start to commit crimes. So is that on purpose?
There's two interesting things. One is that at the moment there's startups like Bookbee, black-owned startup in the UK that delivers books within, I think, 48 hours.
That's dope.
Okay? So if I, Andy, was to buy some real estate, repurpose it to a high-speed internet, almost like Hacker House kind of community where you can order your books in when you need to, I've rethought what the library is. So we can do it. We don't have to wait on the government or on public services. If we want to, we can do it. It's just making the business model work and making sure that it makes money. Like, one of the things that I'm really interested in as well is the future of private members clubs. Through recession, through good time, through bad, these have survived and some of them have thrived. And then there are not a lot of spaces right now when I walk into the private members clubs where I can walk in like this and feel myself.
But not the la creme of members clubs. There is a tone of members clubs if you're in the right members club and you want access.
There's Home House, there's Shoreditch House, there's Adam Street. I'll name them. There's a lot of members clubs right now.
But look what happened to WeWorks though. I mean, it's a co-working space.
WeWorks has terrible unit economics. It's a terrible business.
I feel like expansion was a bit crazy. Like, there's about 6 around here, and you're just like, why? They're street apart.
There's a number of issues, but if you watch Scott Galloway's videos, he'll explain them all. But one of them is like how can you own the trademark as a founder to your business, and you sell it and you license it to your company 5 to 7 million a year? That don't make no sense.
That's crazy.
You take 300 million off the balance sheet before you go to IPO. There's so many red flags along that story. It doesn't make sense. But to be honest, SoftBank's whole portfolio, especially all of the ones that have IPO'd, are risky. Like, all your hotels look similar to WeWork. Compass, I'm not sure if the unit economics are going to make sense. Slack is something we use, but it's struggling to monetize on enterprise, so they're not doing well on their IPO. Like, if we study it and look into these companies,
the information's
all there. You know, one of the core skills that I learned as doing accounting in uni was how to read a financial statement and understand profit and loss and read annual accounts. And it's one of the best skills till today, because now I can look at a company numbers like Thomas Cook, I was saying
Mamas and pops have just gone down as well.
But with Thomas Cook, I was saying to people that they're taking on too much debt and they're fueling all of their acquisitions through debt. So it's unsustainable because they're not growing through the money that they're making. And eventually what happened? High Street. Yeah. You know, and look what happened with Mamas and Papas. Yeah. Mother Care. That's sad, Mother Care. Toys R Us. How can Toys R Us be using Amazon for fulfillment? That's so backwards. How are they not even doing soft play when they're the heart of where children go to play?
But you know what? A lot of this is it's like I've always said this about the UK. We lack innovation in this space, and for me, in my personal opinion, it's a lot to do with leadership. Being so comfortable with taking consumers' money that they don't learn anymore. They don't want to change the narrative because they're just so happy just prodding along. It's like when I entered the plus size market space. It wasn't because what I did was rocket science. It's because the companies were just so happy taking bigger girls' money because they knew that they were never going to stand up for themselves.
And you know what? Part of the challenge is like with companies like Amazon, which is rare, where a founder stays on to be the CEO after IPO and he stays on. There's a long tenure to the company. Like I do some freelance work with Investec Bank. Their co-founder and CEO stayed there for 40 years. He just retired this year. Okay. Whereas with these companies like Mother Care and Mamas and Papas, the CEOs are changing every 3 to 5 years. Yeah. So they're only thinking about their tenure. They're not thinking about the sustainability plan for 15, 20 years. Yeah. Like some of them are not willing to take the big bets and innovate because they're thinking about their retirement plan. Yeah. And the incentive structure is not aligned to shareholder value or the sustainability of the company. Well, that's
a good reason to get younger people into the business anyway, because people will grow with the business. You know, they'll
if you're humble enough to listen to them,
right? And that's why I say about scale leadership, like it's no longer cool that the person sat at the top of the company for 30, 40 years and they haven't made any major pivots for the company to scale. Like, you know, in terms of mass, it just is ridiculous. And it worries me a lot actually, because I see a lot of younger people hoping and praying that these companies take them on in some capacity. Right. And within that, just trying to find a normal 9-to-5 job, a lot of the creativity is lost, the innovation is lost because you get so suppressed by culture.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, and it really, really, really worries me. System thinking.
Yeah, I'm a big systems thinker.
What does that mean?
Systems thinker is just having the ability to recognize the structure of a problem and then apply the right thinking system to solve that problem. So an example is like, you could have a young student in university studying something like marketing, but realizing after the first year that he really hates marketing and he wants to study philosophy. Yeah. But his parents and his friends are putting pressure on him to follow through because he's taken on student loan and he started down this course. So he feels guilty and he feels like I should really finish this course, this program. But the structure of that problem is called the sunk cost fallacy. And when you understand that structure, you understand that actually to change careers, to change a degree now is a short-term loss. But in the long term, if I'm going to work until I'm 65 and work for the next 45 years of my life, then actually to change now will make a big difference in the long term. Yeah. So actually, it's insignificant. It's worth changing now. So when you understand the structure of that problem, you know how to apply the right thinking to make the right decision. So now you can make smarter decisions because you can recognize the structure of problems.
I feel like you just did a whole Seth spiel there because Seth would say something like that.
Seth got it.
Yeah, Seth got it. He'll be on do it now before it's too late. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's so true. Like we've come from spaces where it was okay, like go get a job. That was it. You know, it didn't matter what the job was, whether it was good, bad, or ugly. Just make sure you secure something. And I feel like we've done that with education, where we said it doesn't matter, just stay in the race. But to the detriment of that person's potential, really, because we're saying stay.
Education is a good one. Yeah. That is a system in itself. Yeah. And when you understand and recognize the structure of that system, you realize that in America, for example, the NFL makes $9 billion a year.
The NFL, man, the way they operate is
right. The cinema industry makes $11 billion a year. The examining boards for education make $16 billion a year.
Wow.
Okay, so examining boards are what schools are serving. They want you to get high percentage of A's, high percentage of pass rates, so they can signal to other parents to join our schools because it's a system. Yeah. So they don't want you to realize that actually your institution, your qualification doesn't define intelligence. Yeah. But actually, when you're a student of life and a continuous learner, it's not about
that anymore. It changes.
It's your EQ. It's what you're learning about problem solving, about system thinking, and how you apply yourself in different scenarios and situations. And you're just not gaining that in school. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
It's funny because I'm always going to talk about being dyslexic because I struggled immensely all the way from primary school right up until I secured my degree. And I'm telling you, it was like blood, sweat, and tears. I would cry at home because I just was like 1,000% effort, C or D or E. Do you know what I mean? 1,000% effort and literally nothing. And if one in 10 of us are dyslexic, how many more people feel like me, but yet society tells them, do, you know what I mean? Yeah. And how many educational institutes are just simply taking these people's money for fun because a lot of people aren't, It is sad, massively sad.
It is.
Wow.
But yeah, system thinking is very important, and there's plenty of systems. Like I did a talk recently, Mind the Products. I can share the link after as well. I touch on 3 systems.
Yeah. Lastly, I assume you're somebody who is probably like time management is probably a big thing for you, right? Time management's big for me because we understand the value of our time, right? But what are some other soft skills that people could really use to help leverage themselves in this day and age, but also build up that, that confidence in their ability so that they can continue? Because a lot of us are lacking really, really soft skills. And that's what stops us from even getting into spaces or places that could potentially propel us. What are some of the real basic soft skills that you would like to see either younger generations or people from our culture just exercise and flex a little bit more?
It's good, great question. One is emotional intelligence.
Hey, don't even begin there. Are you kidding?
It's like we need to be able to step into other people's shoes and empathize with their lived experience. Yeah. And backpacking and traveling helps me understand that and do that. And it's everything from hiring to making someone feel inclusive, like having their voices heard and acted on, and working in this space. To navigating into spaces and letting other people into those spaces that you navigate into, which is what we talk about in terms of democratizing information and knowledge and access to these spaces and opportunities. And we don't display enough emotional intelligence, but it's very important.
Because one of my biggest things is that I'm very empathetic, which I believe is part of my gift in relatability, because I'm able to empathize with people in a multitude of different ways that a lot of people aren't. But also I'm very emotional. So I felt like for a long time that was one of my weakest elements when it came to business. And now I don't have that. So like, I'm not so emotionally attached to things anymore. If I build them up, I'm happy to release them. I'm happy to exit if I need to. I'm happy to, where some people I find they're like, oh, I can't do that. Like, this is my baby. It's business.
So it's just business. I love that you touched on that, because for me, love is a human emotion. Like, I've got love for you, my sister, and I genuinely do. And I care for you, and I want you to do well in this life. And I'm here to help you win at scale. Okay? And when we talk about love and falling in love, there's different things you can fall in love with. Like, I'm in love with my daughter in that way, in love with my fiance in that way. But I fall in love with problems and not solutions. A lot of people get married and wedded to solutions. When I'm trying to say, get a divorce from the solution and marry the problem, because the solution can manifest itself in so many different ways. I said before that I launched an ebook. At first, I was thinking about software, but the honest truth is I didn't care because I'm not a founder entrepreneur. I'm just a scientific researcher. So I don't mind how it manifests as long as I'm solving the problem. So we need to focus a lot more on solving problems and falling in love with the problem, or being honest with ourselves and saying, actually, I'm not in love with this problem. I'm not the right person to solve the problem. And that's okay.
And being okay with that. Like so many things I've done that I haven't loved enough to want to wake up 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning to do.
Okay.
Let it go. Let it go.
You learn that about yourself.
Let it go. But so many people are like, I built this thing from, it hasn't bared any fruits for you. You're consistently going in the wrong path. It's okay to let it go.
It's okay. Just learn the lessons. There's a lesson in everything. So you just have to pay attention and learn. The other thing that I think is really important that has been helpful for me is I've learned how to journal and keep a diary. And what that's helped over the last 4 or 5 years for me do is that it's allowed me to look back retrospectively and see the patterns and connect the dots. So that I understand the things that I want to double down on because I love and I'm passionate about them and I enjoy them. And I understand the things that I want to reduce and eliminate because I didn't enjoy it or drained energy from them. So it allows me to consistently keep myself in check and write down the memories that I don't want to lose. You know, so something can happen like this podcast where we have a dope conversation and you trigger a memory.
Yeah.
You say something that's really memorable that I don't want to forget. So I'll just, on my phone, on my laptop, I'll just take a note.
I'll take a lot of notes.
And that note lives forever. And the beauty is that could become like a collection of books in the future for my family to learn the inner workings of my mind and how granddad or great-great-great-granddad thought.
Things that evoke something in you, you can actually pass that on.
And for me, this is like how our great-grandfathers used to sit around the campfire and tell stories about our culture that were passed down. Like in Ghanaian culture, why you wear red and black at a wedding and at a funeral, but then wear black and white on the wake day to church. You know, and all these stories that we pass down through telling stories, I feel like this is my way to tell my story and pass it on.
Amazing. We didn't even touch on the fact that you are Ghanaian and that Ghana is the year of the return, and that they're trying to position Ghana as being a tech hub for Africa.
I've got a guy out there, Terry Pong. He's a guy out there in Ghana. He's my tech plug out there. And I'm really eager to just build up my network back home. And it's hard. The hard tension for me is that there's so much I want to conquer and do here. But I've got an affinity and a drawback to go back home and help. And I don't want to take up space back home. I don't want to be the diaspora
for the sake of it.
I don't want to come back and be like, there's that British person that's come over to come and take this senior position and take out space where we should have space. I want to go back in a position where I can enable, where I can invest, I can support, and
that's
help
the
nurture
problem
growth.
thing you just spoke about. The problem being a part of that. Finding that problem, figuring out how you can support and change that problem and navigate it. And it
starts with understanding and empathizing. Let me speak to people on the ground. Let me understand what they're going through. Let me not come with any solutions or no savior complex. Let me just come as a humble servant
figure it out
to live amongst them. And that's one thing about me as well. I'm willing to live amongst people.
And you're a servant. I was going to say I'm also a servant in the capacity where, like, I get glory from helping people win. And that's why I know that most of my journey is to help people find their voice.
And you know what I love about your journey? You're not just motivating and empowering. You're showing actionable steps. Here's $8,000 debt that I have paid off. I've done it. You can do it too. And this is how I did it. I'm not hiding that.
Because also we have a big stigma about money and things like that. And that's why I felt it was important to, I didn't know it was going to become this wave of everyone's a financial advisor or whatever.
And you were doing it from that place.
This was way before. But like I said, a lot of these things are deeper than what's on the surface. Like like my mum being a single mum, X, Y, and Z. These are really the reasons why. Entering therapy has helped me unfold some of these elements, and I'm a massive advocate for therapy anyway.
It's like my guy Anthony Ware in America, he talks about mental wealth.
Mental wealth.
And I love
because I need my mind. If I don't have my mind, then I can't even begin to think of all these amazing things that I think the world may need.
And we should have those discussions more, especially in spaces that we're in, like the barbershop or the taxi. We should be having that.
Did you watch Barbershop Chronicles? That was so good.
Go and see, one of my friends is in.
Hands down, you have to see it.
I don't know if it's still out, but
I think they're going to do another one. I think, but you should have. Where was you? Why weren't you supporting the team?
Listen, my months here.
The way the thing is set up,
the way my life is set up in my evenings right now, it's not easy. But if it is still out, I'm gonna book it. If not, I'm gonna see when it's next out.
Because that also sparked an idea of somebody needs to create a community barbershop space where young people can come, whether they pay a small amount to get their haircut, but what they're actually buying into is the conversation from elders.
But the problem right now is the elders there are not having the right quality conversations all the time.
Well, because they stopped learning.
But maybe they're not in the right position. Maybe they haven't got that knowledge to share, or they're not the right people to share it. So that's why we need to create our own spaces where we can have conversations and build things together.
Absolutely.
Micro community spaces.
This is exactly what, and that's what that reminded me of, the Barbershop Chronicles. I'm not sure who wrote it or whoever did it, but amazing experience. You have to go see it, and if you haven't, just make sure that you support it.
Even his story is emotional. The guy that created it, he's got a sick immigrant story from Nigeria.
Really?
Yeah, he's went through a lot, and then he got his papers, and it's emotional.
It's a lot. I hope that he tells that story at some point as well.
I saw him tell it at a private event.
Really?
Yeah.
Amazing. Wow. That's it. What else do you want to say? Anything else? We could speak for hours, I know. But do you want to give out your information of how people can find you? I'll put the links for your ebook and everything.
Thank you.
You're growing your Insta page at the moment, but YouTube's next.
Yeah, and I think the thing for me is that like monetization of content and stuff for me, and this is important to share. Like, I don't try and, the majority of what I'm putting out there, I'm not trying to make money from.
Yeah.
And I think you become a trusted advisor when you're putting quality content out consistently for free.
Yeah.
So I want to stay committed to that, whether it's on YouTube, LinkedIn, my newsletter.
LinkedIn is the gold mine at the minute.
Organic reach is mad. No, organic reach is mad. That's my
LinkedIn
platform.
is the place.
That's my platform. That's where I.
David McQueen stays on LinkedIn. Like, David McQueen. He's a go.
This is the other thing. What a lot of people don't realize is more important to have influence rather than followers.
Yes.
And there's private circles, private conversations with the likes of David McQueen and all these other people, where it's influential circles, but on the surface it doesn't show. You would never know about it. So like you can judge me by my follower account, but I'm telling you that underneath the surface is where the work's happening.
And that's why I don't even trip about numbers or Instagram likes and stuff.
The only reason I trip on it is because the more reach, the more impact I can have. Because the more people I'm reaching and being able to help.
But you need to go where your tribe is, and your tribe may not be Instagram.
Yeah, it's true. But I'm on LinkedIn and I'm active. To be honest, I'm more in person, so I'm just trying to convert people from the online to the offline, because it ends with Andy and time to sit down and
your newsletter is the absolute goat.
Everyone loves the newsletter.
Go. Listen, that newsletter that I haven't been getting for the last couple of months because I don't know what's going on. They don't want me to be great.
No, I need to see how your system set up.
Can I just say that newsletter is the creme de la creme of a bit of everything. It isn't even exclusive to us, but you just highlight the people that need to be highlighted, and I think it's amazing.
Thank you.
So what's your Insta?
At Andy's HVC, same on Twitter. On LinkedIn, andyayim.com is andyayim.com. Also,
you don't call yourself an entrepreneur, I noticed.
I don't.
Yeah.
Because I'm not fancy. I don't get caught up in the title or nothing.
Yeah.
Even Andy's HVC, people used to think it meant VC. It doesn't. It was meant to be an acronym, AHVC. And what that was meant to mean was Andy's high value conversations. Because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to have high value conversations whenever I'm interacting in a one-on-one or in a group.
Currency.
I want that to be my currency. So next year I'm probably going to do a podcast and just use the title and get people used to AHVC because that's what I want to be synonymous with, that high value conversation.
Yeah, and you definitely bring it. So
I want to have a thinker's conversation and spend time thinking about thinking and go away and have read week with people out in Cornwall or something.
Like what Bill Gates does when he just goes to his little hub.
But I've been wanting to do that for 5 years, to be honest. But Bill Gates is doing it, and he's been doing it for years.
This Bill Gates.
He's been doing it for years.
They say a week he takes.
There's a blog called the Farnam Street blog that I read, and I've been reading it for about 5-6 years, and that's where I learned
Street blog.
Farnam Street.
No, I don't know.
Farnam Street blog, and that's what I learned about. They have think retreats. Where they just fly away, no technology, spend time reading, speaking, having dinners, and you do that for a week.
Yeah.
And I love that concept, being able to abstract yourself from society and reality.
You could host that, right?
No, I will host that. I will.
God willing. That needs to happen.
We will.
Well, TBC.
Rem.
That's it.
Hey, we'll do that again, man. We'll do that again sometime for sure.